What is up, my spectacular spider splash shackers? Spec Powers here. You can call me the Mr. Nightmare Reactor, Horror Reactor, Phantom Reactor, Terror Reactor, Fear Reactor, Scary Reactor, Chill Reactor, or Heart Pounding Reactor, or Scary Reactor, whatever. Because it's time for my live reaction to three creepy real 4th of July horror stories. Yeah, happy 4th of July, people! Celebrate. Let's do this and react. And let's decrease the volume in case there are any gunshot effects, sound effects, or screams. Jaws 2's on right here, so just to
It was
make a
July
little.
4th, 2007. I was 16 years old, and I had nothing
Alright.
to do for the night. My older sister
Alright.
Alicia, who has
Alicia,
9
that's a
years
pretty
on me,
name.
was going to some huge party upstate. I think it was referred to
Upstate New
as the
York?
Rockaway Bomb Show, where a
Going,
bunch of
going
young,
there soon.
out-of-college
Someone's
adults would
recording.
go to drink and go crazy.
Chop up.
Surprisingly, when I told my sister that I had no plans, she invited me to come with her and her boyfriend Alex.
Oh, Alex.
Now, I was
I
a
know a couple
shy kid,
Alexes.
so maybe that's why she was inviting me, to help me break out of my shell.
Alright,
But
it
being
seems this is not
16
gonna be
years old,
alone.
it was definitely out of my comfort zone to go attend some crazy drinking party full of 20-year-olds. Somehow, though, she guilted me into going.
Alright, I got my
We had to
teddy
stay
bear
at a
ever
motel
since
overnight
kindergarten or
there,
whatever
so I packed my
to
stuff.
help me.
And within 2 hours, Alicia was honking the horn outside. It was a long drive, close to 4 hours. By the time we arrived, the sky was already turning that bright orange as the sun was setting. We pulled into
Sorry.
some sketchy-looking road
I got
with a sign that
Spidey
said
right here.
fireworks show this way. I rolled down the window and already heard a huge crowd of people in the distance. As we passed the tree lines on either side into the clearing, we could see a transportable stage, a bunch of tables scattered everywhere, and a food and drink bar.
Alright.
People in their low 20s everywhere, all holding beers or other alcoholic
Obviously.
beverages. I felt
Especially
my
if it's
heart
Independence
sink a
Day.
little in social nervousness.
Don't be nervous. It's a natural reaction. I've been
Alicia
there.
parked the car on the grass because really there was no parking lot and the parking was basically a free-for-all.
Alright. As long as there's no
I
accident or
followed
trouble.
Alicia and Alex to the party, and they immediately, coincidentally, found some of their friends who already seemed drunk.
Oh,
They
shit.
introduced me and we chatted for a bit. Alicia handed me a beer.
So it
which I
seems he's not going to be
nervously
alone. No, be alone
As
this
soon as
way.
I took the first sip, I started getting weird stares from people. I was afraid someone would ask me how old I am. I continued to cling on to Alicia and Alex for another 15 minutes before they both split up and started talking to random people.
Ah.
At that moment, I felt alone and awkward. In the middle of
So you're
hundreds
gonna
of
be alone
college students and graduates all conversing with each other, and here I was, an awkward middle school looking 16-year-old with a beer in his hands all alone. A hand grabbed my shoulder and I turned, thinking it was Alex or Alicia, but it was rather some older guy. I mean, like, out of place old. The guy was like in his 40s or 50s. He had a balding head and glasses. He looked like he could be a creepy priest. He then took the beer out of my hand and said, "How old are you?" That hit me hard in the stomach as I choked up for words. I was actually just getting that from my sister. He put the beer on a nearby table and asked me what my name is. I, still thinking this guy was a worker at the show or something, told him Jake. Then he asked me who I'm here with, and I responded, "My sister, like I just told you."
Alright.
Eventually, I talked my way away from the guy and looked for Alicia or Alex.
Good look then.
There were so many people here, though, and
Yeah,
I
let me
didn't
get
have a
these.
cell phone back then, so I couldn't even text or call them.
Ah.
It got to a point where I felt so alone and awkward that I wandered away from the party and into the woods. I sat on a log, reflecting on myself and regretting my decision to come, when all of a sudden I heard a huge boom, followed by a roar of cheering. The fireworks show had started. I could actually see perfectly fine from where I was sitting, so I decided I'd just stay there.
I better
My mind
respawn.
was sucked into the beauty of the fireworks blowing up in the sky. So much so,
I'm getting
I
scared
forgot
now.
about how upset I was. And suddenly, I couldn't breathe. Something was wrapped around my mouth and nose. I struggled. I tried to scream and break free.
What?
I felt like I was becoming lightheaded. I looked up for anything on the ground to use as a weapon and pulled up a big stick. I tried swinging at the person's leg, but it didn't work. The person pulled me down to the ground and pinned me on my stomach. As a final attempt, I grabbed a big stone from in front of me, and with with a single lucky swing, I struck the person straight in the face. They let loose their grip and let out a grunt, giving me enough time to get up and run. I did take one glance at the person, however, and could see that they were wearing the same thing that the man I saw earlier had been. I ran back to the party where they were shooting off the fireworks and asked the apparent hosts of the party if they knew the man. They said they hadn't. I told them what happened, and one of the guys was like, "Holy shit, buddy, yeah, we're gonna report this." By the end of the night, when my sister and her boyfriend were too drunk to drive, I ended up driving to the motel. I never told anyone in my family about the incident out of embarrassment, but that's something I kind of regret now.
Come on, man. I would have told. That's the right thing to do. Right thing to do.
My name is Ivan. I'm 15 years old, and this is the scariest experience of my life.
Oh no, I'm getting
So
chills,
it's the 4th of
Bess.
July, 2015.
From right here now.
I live in a calm suburban neighborhood that's usually very quiet, but one night it all changed. My dad had to work extra late since he was covering someone's shift, and my mom was at some friend's house party. This was a Friday night, so I would usually just play games on my computer and talk with friends, basically having my kind of fun. I would do that every single Friday night without any issues. The time was about 9 or 10 p.m. and I was playing my favorite game, League of Legends, talking with some friends, when suddenly I heard a window shut. Or maybe it was something else. I thought it may be the broken dishwasher we had that sounded very loud. I ignored it and wanted to get back to my game, so I increased the volume on my headset. The sound echoed so loud that I could almost hear it with the volume on 96%. I had enough and wanted to
I'm gonna
see
check
what
the
it was.
comments
So I
while
reduced
hearing
the
this.
volume and told my friends to hold on and that I would be right back. The sound wasn't from the dishwasher or the dryer. It wasn't a window either. The sound was still underway though when I came to look what it was. The basement. I had never gone in there since we moved in, and my parents told me to never go down there by myself. Not for suspense reasons or anything like that, but they actually just don't want me going down there moving around any boxes. The basement was dirty, and the door was kind of broken and always gave out creepy drafts when it was open. I went to the basement door and listened. The sound went on for a good 2 minutes before silence. My whole body was actually filled with joy and happiness. But before I could even breathe out and go to my room calmly, the sound started again. First quietly, and then louder, and louder, and louder. I was completely home alone if you're wondering. No parents, no pets, no babysitters, nothing. I didn't even have any weapons to defend myself either. I was so scared that I started having thoughts about my entire life, as if it were flashing before my eyes, so completely sure I was going to pass out or even die. Now the sound was very loud. I went straight to my room and closed and locked the door very quietly. I took my phone and dialed my mom's number. She told me to call the police, which suddenly seemed like a better idea.
Yeah, do that
I
first.
called the police, and as I was on the line with the operator, I heard a door opening from all the way downstairs. Because it was so loud, I knew that it was the basement door. The operator told me that they would be over as soon as they could. It was at that moment that the horrific truth hit me. Somebody was in my house. I listened in silence for a few minutes, other than the occasional firework booming in the distance from the outside, as I heard somebody rummaging through our kitchen and living room. I wrote to my friends in the chat, "There's a fucking intruder in my house." Before I could even see what they responded with, I heard footsteps coming upstairs. Clicking on my feet, I opened the window and jumped down 2 stories onto the grass, breaking my left ankle. I was crawling as far as I could away from the window, and when I looked up to the window, I saw him. The most disturbing face which has ever belonged to a man. A crooked mouth, round, wiry hair, and eyes so dark I couldn't even see them. But I could only see it for a few moments before he turned and walked away from the window. The sounds of cop cars stopping nearby was the greatest thing ever at that moment. I remember watching the police walking the man out to the car in cuffs. And I'll never forget that face, which looked even more horrific up close as he gave me an evil, hateful stare before being driven off in the backseat of that police car.
Huh. What's the third one about? They usually save the best for last.
It was the 4th of July,
So it's
2
creepy
days after
for
my birthday.
last. Creepiest for last.
We live in a very quiet town in New Jersey.
I almost forgot my history teacher for this past school year.
So my girlfriend,
His birthday's on 4th of July. Oh, happy birthday to him.
jokingly decided to come over to my house with a couple six-packs and some fireworks for the holiday.
Yeah,
My
baby.
parents were at one of the neighbors' parties far down the road. We
Alright.
didn't have a lot of close-by neighbors.
Not
My
as
girlfriend's
far as
name
my
is
aunt.
Sophia. When she arrived, we headed to the backyard, where we started drinking the six-packs together. She brought 2 big firework missiles, a couple bottle rockets, and some
Still got my teddy.
firecrackers. Obviously, the missiles were what caught my eye the most. When I finished my second beer, I got off the deck to shoot off the 2 bottle rockets. Up next were the firecrackers. After lighting up the firecrackers, however, I noticed my garage was open all the way across the yard. I told Sophia I'd be right back and walked over to it.
Don't go
I
alone,
went
man.
inside and turned on the light. Every drawer and every closet door had been opened. I called my dad first thing and let him know somebody broke into the garage and possibly robbed us. He had a typical reaction. Are you serious? Oh, shit. What did they take? I don't know, I told him. Alright, hang tight, I'll be home in a sec to check it out.
Call the
So my
police.
dad was momentarily leaving the party down the block to come check it out. When I got back to the deck, I told Sophia, and she was just in shock. She went to go look herself, and when she came back, we just sat there outside on the backyard deck, waiting. Eventually, I decided to just shoot off the big missiles.
He's in the
I
house.
couldn't wait anymore, and it was July 4th after all. Sophia told me to go for it. The first missile was huge. It practically lit up the whole backyard for a second. I loved it. But I knew these 2 missiles were not cheap, so I thanked Sophia again. I lit the second missile, and during those initial few seconds, as the fuse was burning, me and Sophia both heard a large branch snapping on the ground from the woods. We both looked in that direction, and as the rocket exploded in the sky, it provided just enough light to see a figure in the woods facing us. We both screamed simultaneously, just in time for my dad to hear. Me and my dad both chased in that direction into the woods, but we couldn't see or hear anything. We completely lost the person. Later that night, we turned on the security camera in the garage that we hadn't used in a long time.
Evidence.
At maybe 1 or 2 in the morning, when I was finally going to bed, I looked out my window for the heck of it, and the garage light was on. Me and my dad went to check it out. This time, the entire garage had been completely trashed, and some of my dad's expensive tools were missing. We went back to the house to check the surveillance footage, and we were disturbed. In the footage, the lights turned on, but the camera was blocked by something. It seemed like a piece of paper. We rushed back to the garage to check it out, and found a simple post-it note taken from the desk in the garage, stamped onto the camera. And in writing on the notes were the words, "Happy Independence Day, fuck you." We never found the robber.
Whoa. Crazy shiz, people. Alright, I'm gonna make a video about me reviewing these videos in the future. Yeah, I can't do it in the same video because I'm on a little strike right now on my channel. And once it expires, I'll be able to do it in the same video. So yeah, rate, comment, subscribe, and favorite. Talk to people later. Happy Independence Day, aka 4th of July. Peace. Happy then. See you then.